Yes. Mr. Kanyangela, you still under oath?
Yes, my lord.
Come back to Tranquil, it's okay.
Thank you, my lord. Mr. Kanyangela, when we adjourned, we were still dealing with Exhibit Z9, is that correct? You recall that?
That's correct.
And we were dealing with the position of the ACC and yourselves as investigators that the governmental objectives are only those that are mentioned in paragraph 1A and paragraph B. Is that correct?
Yes, I have indicated that those are the two government objectives that were approved based on the application that the Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources made to the Cabinet.
Yes, and you said the additional ones were also not approved. Do I understand you correctly? Because there was no cabinet subcommittee that decided on those additional ones.
There's no information provided to the ACC during investigation.
Yes.
For the approval.
So your understanding of governmental objectives then was limited to what is in paragraph 1 of that cabinet action letter.
It was not only limited to that one.
Okay, where else do we find were there other governmental objectives that the ACC found that were approved by cabinet other than these ones?
There was no other, but what I said, what our investigation was based on, it was based on the allocation of government objective quotas.
Yes.
That was given to Fishcall for harvesting, and from which the applicant have benefited.
All right. Mr. Kanyangela, we can make this very straightforward. We'll come to the quota, believe me, I'm not running away from that.
Yes.
Yes, we are just dealing with your understanding of governmental objectives so that then we can have a fair view of the ACC's case going forward. You confirm that in your understanding as the ACC, the only governmental objectives that were approved by cabinet are those ones which are Namibia fish consumption objectives and government trout relief programs. You cannot run away from that because that's what you testified in chief.
Yes?
Yes. Do you understand what the cabinet is, the cabinet of the Republic of Namibia? And if you don't believe me, I will not hold it against you. I just... I don't expect you to answer each and every facet of it. I wouldn't as well, but I have to ask you, unfortunately.
I understand it.
Yes. The cabinet is different from the Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources. Is that correct?
Just correct.
The powers that the minister was exercising in terms of when he was dealing with these marine resources, where does he draw these powers from?
From the National Fishing Corporation of Namibia Act.
All right. That may as well be correct, but wouldn't it be better maybe to say from the Marine Resources Act?
Yeah, his power has also been provided in such act.
So there were these two acts that he was exercising those powers
Yes, he
to
can
deal with
exercise.
Marine Resources Act.
Yes, correct.
All right. You have looked, probably in your investigation, you have also looked at the Marine Resources Act. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
You have also considered how the powers in that act are exercised. Is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Can you show me in that act any provision in that act that gives the cabinet the power, and listen very carefully, please look at me, that gives the cabinet the power to allocate government objectives.
Sorry?
Quotas on government objectives.
The cabinet are approving the government objectives. And the powers to allocate such quotas. The quotas can be allocated by the Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources, the Minister.
Right. You are looking at the Marine Resources Act there in front of you.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
I'm asking you this question because it's a fair position for me to put to you. I'm not trying to embarrass you. I know you are not a legal practitioner, so I don't expect you to be correct in all instances. But I just want to understand, you know, because you have brought a case here where you say the cabinet has a particular role. So I want to find out which section did the ACC or yourselves in your investigation rely on for the conclusion that the cabinet has a role in the allocation of quota for governmental purposes?
I cannot recall of having testifying that it is the role of the cabinet to allocate quotas.
You said it is the role of the cabinet to decide and approve cabinet, you know, governmental objectives for fishing quotas. Is that correct?
Yes, but not to allocate.
Is that correct?
That's how I understood it. He can correct me, my lord. He's under cross-examination.
No, well, you see, you must clarify. Remember, this witness testified in chief, and he's testifying now when he's answering questions from you. Make it clear to him at what point in time the testimony or the question you are referring to is based on the testimony given at which
All
point.
right, my lord.
Yeah, then it's clear, and we all know what it is.
I agree, my lord, that is correct.
Yeah.
Maybe let me rephrase the question so that it's very clear, because I don't want it to appear like I'm trying to trick you. I really want to put to you fair questions. You must have looked at a particular provision, and can I refer you to Section 3, subsection 4, subsection 3 of that Act. You see that provision?
Section 3, subsection
3.
Yes, I see the provision.
Yes. Can I give you a moment to just go through it and see whether it is that section that you were relying on for this conclusion that cabinet had to approve governmental objectives in order for them to be lawful?
Yes, on the direction of the cabinet, yeah?
Yes. Is that the provision that you were relying on for that conclusion? I just want to make sure.
Yes.
And then I can ask you questions.
Yes.
All right. What is it in that section that cabinet has to approve or give direction on? It's not everything in that section. It's just one aspect.
It's on government objectives.
All right. That is your opinion. But if you look at it, it provides as follows. Notwithstanding anything contained in sections 33, 32, 33, and 39 of this Act, the state is entitled to utilize or harvest marine resources to advance any social, economic, cultural, or other governmental objectives in the public interest, through an entity or person. So it can be an entity or an individual, a person, designated by the minister.
That's correct.
On direction from the cabinet.
That's correct.
The involvement of the cabinet, I put it to you, is limited only to the designation of the entity or the person, and nothing else.
I tend to disagree to this point.
All right, what is your basis for disagreeing?
I'm still saying it should be the cabinet's decision to decide or to give directives as to which government objective had to be carried out.
All right, that is your view. These matters are matters for argument. I gave you the chance because our view is different, is that cabinet has to decide on the designation of the entity. But if I take you to Section 2 of the Act, do you see that provision?
Yes, I see it.
There are powers that the Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources is given in terms of that provision. You see that?
Yes, I see it.
What are the powers to do? What is the minister empowered to do in terms of that provision?
You say he's empowered to determine the general policy with regarding to the conservation and utilization of marine resources in order to realize the greatest benefit for all Namibians, both present and future.
Yes. So the minister is given general policy powers to determine how conservation and utilization of marine resources is to be dealt with in Namibia in order to realize the greatest benefit for all Namibians. Is that correct?
That's correct.
If I take you to Section 3(4), Section 3, subsection 4, you see that?
Yes, I see it.
The minister is also given certain specific powers in there. You see that?
Yes.
Can you take a moment to read that to yourself, and then I can ask you a couple of questions?
Yes, I read the
Yes.
section.
What is the minister empowered to do in terms of that section?
He's empowered to enter into an agreement with an entity or a person referred to or designated in terms of that subsection, which agreements set out the condition as to the period of harvesting, the type of marine resources to be harvested, conservation, and management measures to be observed, and such other conditions as may be determined under that subsection.
All right. So the minister here alone is empowered to enter into designation agreements with any entity that is approved by the cabinet. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Would you agree with me that in terms of the resolution of cabinet that we were discussing earlier, Exhibit Z9 on page 29 of that bundle?
Yes, I'm there.
Can you read paragraph 2 of that resolution of the cabinet?
Paragraph 2 said that Cabinet directs that the National Fishing Corporation of Namibia Limited be the designated entity to harvest on behalf of the state and to monetize for the state utilization harvested marine resources towards determining governmental objectives.
All right. So in terms of that provision, that paragraph of the cabinet, do we agree that Fishco was designated as such in line with the Marine Resources Act by the cabinet?
That's correct.
All right. If I can take you to the provisions of the Fishco Act, I don't know if you have them in that bundle.
I don't.
They are towards the end of that file. all the way towards the end. I believe is the last.
What is it that you are?
It's not an exhibit, my lord. It's part of the bundle of the state discovery.
No, I mean the document that you are referring to.
The National Fishing Corporation of Namibia Act.
Were you not proactive this time?
I beg your pardon, my lord.
Were you not proactive this time and made copies also?
No, my lord, because it's part of that bundle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's part of that bundle, my lord. It's the last, I believe it's the last but one document, because after it immediately comes the State-Owned Enterprises Governance Amendment Act. Do you see that act, Mr. Kayenge?
Yes. See the act?
All right.
Just hold on, let me see whether I have it. In which bundle is it, Mr.?
All right.
The last document is a State-Owned Enterprises Governance Act, consists of 4 pages. Just before that 4 pages, it's the second last document, Your Lordship. The very last document is a State-Owned.
That's page what?
It's not paginated. But at the very last pages, there's the State-Owned Enterprises Governance Act, which consists of 4 pages.
Well, maybe
the document before that is the Act itself, Your Lordship. Perhaps I can assist the court, perhaps, if... I see it does not form part of the court's, or is it in that file? It's not here. It's not in the court's file, Your Lordship. I do not see it here.
Yes, Mr. Patel.
maybe, my lord, we don't even need to bother too much at this stage with that act. On the same act that we were dealing with, Marine Resources Act, I believe I can extract what I want to deal with the witness. My lord, may I refer you to the witness to Section 39 of the Act, Marine Resources Act, Mr. Kanyangelo?
Section 39.
Yes, 39, my lord.
Yes, I'm there.
Can I refer you to subsection 3, bracket A of that Act?
No, it's 3A.
Yes, my lord,
Not
3
three.
capital A, because
Yeah.
3 of the amendment.
Yeah, it's not 3 bracket, it's 3A and then
Oh,
brackets. Yeah.
yes, my lord. Bracket 3A. You see it, Mr. Kanyangel?
Yes, I'm seeing it.
All right. That section provides that if the minister has, in terms of section 38(1) and 38(2), determined a total allowable catch for allocation for non-commercial harvesting or reserve purposes, the minister may, notwithstanding the provisions of sections 32, 33, and subsections 2 and 3, on application allocate a quota to the National Fishing Corporation of Namibia established in terms of the National Fishing Corporation Act for the purpose of achieving any objects of the objects set out in Section 3, bracket 3. Section 3, subsection 3. Does it read as such, Mr. Kayengela?
Yes, it reads as such.
My instructions are that in terms of, and I'm going to argue this at the end, that in terms of this section, Parliament had already designated that for governmental purposes, the National Fishing Corporation Act, of Namibia, is going to be the entity that is designated to perform the objects of Section 3, subsection 3.
Did you hear yourself, Mr. Patela?
Yes, my lord.
You said the National Fishing Corporation Act.
Oh, the National Fishing Corporation, my lord,
okay, yeah.
of Namibia.
Okay.
Yes,
I was
my lord.
going to wonder how the act will...
All right, no. It's the National Fishing Corporation of Namibia, my lord.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, shall be the entity designated for the purposes of Section 3, subsection 3 of the Act.
Okay.
You see that, Mr. Kayengela?
Yes, I see it.
And you cannot dispute that.
I cannot dispute that.
So we will argue at the end that there is a parliamentary provision, a statutory provision that designates the Fishco to catch all the total allowable catch for the purposes of achieving the objects of Section 3, bracket 3, including governmental objectives.
Yes, on the,
you know that.
On the application by Fishco, yes.
All right. You have also maybe if we go back, because we'll come back to all these issues, I'm just setting down the framework. You have also said you were critical of my client's appointment to the position of the Chief Executive Officer. Is that correct?
That's correct.
In fact, you said that he was not properly, and I need to be careful here because I need to understand you said he was not properly experienced for that position.
Yes, I have indicated that he was not having managerial experience.
All right. Is that the only criticism that you had?
The other criticism, I think I have already mentioned them when I was testifying in my evidence in chief.
Right. You did not clarify to the court what you meant by managerial experience.
I did not.
Do you remember that you did not clarify?
I did not clarify that.
So it can mean, managerial experience of whatever, idea that can come to anyone's mind because you were shy to clarify that.
I was not shy.
But you did not do so?
I did not do so.
Is there a reason why you
That's
did
correct.
not do that?
There was no any reason.
All right. You probably, during your investigations, also considered the background. And by background, I don't mean any other background, but academic background of and achievements of my client. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I'm aware.
All right. What academic achievements did my client reach in his rather young life?
I can only recall of him having a bachelor degree in economics.
You don't recall any other one?
Not at this moment.
Why is it that you don't recall the others?
I did not copy them all in my head.
All right. You probably looked at the report because it was made for you and your office, the report of the Deloitte and Touch. Is that correct?
Yes, I read the report.
Yes. They were also mandated to investigate the suitability of my client or the appointment of my client to the position of CEO of Fishco. Isn't that so? That was one of their core mandate as well.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes. They did mention a couple of aspects about his academic achievements. Do you recall that?
Yes, I recall what they have.
Yes, one of the things that they mentioned in paragraph 4.223 is that he holds a Bachelor of Economics that he obtained from the University of Namibia in April 2009. Do you recall that?
Yes, I recall that.
Do you look down on this prestigious achievement of Bachelor of Economics from Namibia's finest university?
Namibia?
Namibia's biggest university.
Yes.
You look down on it.
I'm not looking down on it.
Do you pay due deference and respect for this achievement, academic achievement?
No.
I'm trying to understand because you are a bit dismissive of my client's suitability for the position that he holds. And you do so fully aware that he holds a Bachelor of Economics. What I feel, and I submit to you, that it's a prestigious academic qualification.
It's a prestigious academic qualification, but he was never held any supervisory position or management position before he was recommended and appointed as a CEO.
Yes.
That's why I say he's not having such an experience.
I asked you, that is your only reason?
Yes.
Yes, there is no other reason.
With regarding to the appointment?
Regarding to his qualifications. Let's go to the next one. They also informed you in this report that he holds a master's in international management. Master's in international management.
Yes.
Do you look down on this outstanding achievement of my client?
I'm not looking down on his outstanding.
This is a
What
man...
I was looking at is how he went to manage the Fishrot.
Mr. Kanyangel,
Yes.
maybe for a moment let's look at you. You probably went to school.
Yes,
Is
I
that
did.
so?
Yes, I did.
Okay, let's discuss your qualifications. Where did you go to primary school?
Primary school, I went to Anamulenge Combined School.
Where?
Anamulenge Combined School.
How did you perform? Were you top of your class?
Mostly I used to be.
Were you top of your class? I'm not asking
Yes.
whether you were. All right. And then from there, where did you go?
I went to the current John Pandeni.
Your Lordship, can I just get clarity? On the qualification with regard to the masters, when was that obtained? Because I did not clearly hear that. He says that the master's qualification, when was that obtained?
Well, those are my learned friend's questions. He will ask them when it's time for him to ask his witness. I'm looking at the report here. Yes, I'm looking at the report. I'm referencing...
There are things that, as a human being,
Yes, my lord.
I cannot avoid but to laugh.
Explicitly.
But surely, Mr. Patela, you are driving in a given direction to establish the academic credibility and qualification of Mr. Ngipunyi. So it's just fair that you place those details before the witness for him to answer.
Yes, my lord, I refer to a particular paragraph in the Deloitte report.
Which
I said
paragraph?
paragraph 4.
Does he have the Deloitte report?
I believe it's part of the discovery. He will have.
No, it's part of it, but remember, most of those documents were given back.
All right, let's find out whether he has it there in front, because this was a report that was made to the ACC. He should know what are his contents.
If you can just provide me with the page.
All right.
Our page is available. I think if you want to read it into the record.
Page?
91
91 of what?
of the Deloitte report, Your Lordship.
Okay.
Mr. Gangel, you can put down the paper. I was asking you about your qualifications. That's my cross-examination. Unless I'm overruled by the court, I persist with my question.
Are they relevant?
Yes, my lord, they are relevant because he cast suspicions. So
No,
I want to
this
know...
report is not his.
But he cast aspersions on the appointment of my client.
On the appointment, not on his qualifications.
Yes, but appointment, he says he was not suitably...
No, he qualified it. He said he questioned the managerial experience that Mr. Ngipunya had.
Yes.
That's not casting aspersions on the qualification. It's when I say, what degree do you have, by the way? Is it a degree that was obtained in the streets of Liverpool or in the streets of Katutura?
Yes, if we are all on the same page, my lord,
Yeah.
I'll be happy that then the qualification is limited only to, to his experience.
No,
And
I'm
nothing
just
else.
asking what the relevance of how he performed in school.
Yes, because, my lord, I believe
You
that...
know, I've been in class with top performers,
Yes, my lord.
and I don't know where they are. So it's not the top performance that matters.
My lord, I'm just a curious person, I should ask.
Yeah. So
Yes.
that's why I'm asking the relevance
All right,
of that question to this witness.
Yes. The
All right,
relevance-
can we get order in court?
Yes, I get it, my lord.
Yeah.
If I express a view
Yeah,
that a person that has been appointed
yeah.
is not suitably...
No, Mr. Ueitele,
Yes.
I want you to be clear.
Yes.
If you are going to, he is clear. He says, I had doubt on Mr. Ngipunya's managerial experience. If it's on that,
Yes.
I will allow you all the latitude.
All right, my lord.
But when you are asking him how he performed in school,
Yes.
how the qualifications he holds,
Yes.
I need to know the relevance of that question.
All right, my lord.
Yeah.
I will still come back to this question, but maybe now let's move on because I don't want to lose the context of where I wanted to
All
go.
right.
Yes, Mr. Kanyigela, can you look at that page that we had that was handed to you, paragraph 4.223? Are you looking at it?
Yes.
Would you agree as well that in this report they state that my client has a master's in international management obtained from the University of Liverpool?
That's correct.
And they said they were able to locate a letter from University of Liverpool dated 26 September 2013 confirming his acceptance to the program. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. They talk about his work experience at the time that he was appointed. Paragraph 4.2.24. You see that?
Yes.
They say before he was appointed, he held the position of statistician, regional supervisor
Yes.
with the National Planning Commission from 1 July 2009 up until 31 of March 2010. Is that correct?
That's correct.
They also said that he held the position of economist with the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources from 6 April 2010 to, well, they write to present,
Yes.
approximately 4 years.
Yes.
Is it correct that your own experts came to the conclusion that the Fish Co Act is silent on the minimum qualifications and or experience required of the Fish Co CEO?
Yes, that's correct.
So the law makes no requirements whatsoever of the minimum qualifications and the experience required. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
So whatever views you have are just yours. They are not backed up by any legal requirements.
As per the Fish Corp is a state-owned enterprise, and like I testified before, the positions of such magnitude as per the Public Service Act, certain requirements need to be met. Like in the position of the CEO, this person need to have managerial experience to run the company, of which to me, he was lacking.
Mr. Kanyangela, I believe you had a good opportunity to consult with the two legal representatives of the state. Is that correct? Before coming to court.
That's correct.
You also took them through this report, or they took you through this report, I would hope.
Just on some pages, yes.
Yes. They probably, and you probably was aware that in this report that you want to rely on before this honorable court, that your own report is clear that the Fish Co Act is silent on the minimum qualifications and experience required of the Fish Co CEO. Is that correct?
Yes, that is the report saying.
Would I be fair as well to saying they were aware, the legal petitioners were also aware of that conclusion of this report?
I cannot confirm whether they were aware.
Because my client was on the stand. He testified for days. He was cross-examined by Mr. Lutebes for days. But he was not pointed out to this mysterious act that you are referring to.
I was not part of his testimony.
So you did?
I was not in court when he was testifying. I cannot say
yes,
whether the prosecution is aware or not aware.
yes, but I'm telling you because I was here. And they were here as well. If they dispute that, they can stand up and show you and object. They did not cross-examine my client on the requirement of this act that you are referring to.
I don't think I hold any
Yes.
answer to that one.
So whatever you have there, you are imagining, is just a new development that is not based on any documents that are before court today. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. I have 2 or 3 other documents that I would like you to look at. But may I give you a copy? And also for the witness first. Can I refer you to page 2 of that document? A21-2 is marked at the far right. Do you see that document?
Yes, I see the document.
It's a written resolution of the Board of Directors in terms of the Articles of Association of the company passed at Lutherits on 29 of July 2015. Is that correct?
That's correct.
It talks about the appointment of the Chief Executive Officer. Is that correct?
That's correct.
It reads as follows: whereas as a board, we have the responsibility to appoint a capable management team to execute and implement decisions of the board and carry out the day-to-day functions of managing the Fish Co Group. Having considered the ongoing implementation of the turnaround strategy and the sensitive environment within which the group is operating, the board resolved at a meeting on the 12th of December 2014 that it would be prudent to headhunt and appoint the Chief Executive Officer of Fish Co for Fish Co and its operating subsidiaries. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So if one reads this, the board is very clear to the world to see that they actually have considered important aspects of the turnaround strategy and the sensitive environment within which the group was operating at that time. Is that correct?
That's correct.
The board goes further. It says, it is our considered view that a candidate with the requisite skills, knowledge, and experience in the fishing industry, who has demonstrated clear leadership qualities, should be able to lead our group to achieve its mandate as set out in the Act. The Act is the National Fishing Corporation Act. Is that correct?
That's correct.
It also says the board was fully aware and they told the world to see that additionally, the chief executive officer needs to be someone the board can develop a trusting working relationship with, who would be able to manage the group in line with the long-term vision and stated objectives of the group. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Can you read what the board said thereafter?
They said the acting chief executive officer, Mr. Mike Ngipunya, was seconded to Fishrot in May 2014 for a period of 1 year that was extended for a further 18 months to November 2017. During his tenure at Fishrot, the acting chief executive officer has overseen significant restructuring and managed strategic interventions that are bearing positive outcomes for the group in terms of sustainable operations and solidifying the financial position.
Would I be correct in saying the board is telling the whole world to know that my client, who was acting as the CEO at that time, had overseen significant restructuring and managed strategic interventions of this company during that period?
Yeah, well, I think the board makes such took up such a resolution or made such statement
Right.
without knowing what was going on at Fishrot.
Mr.
They might have been in the dark.
I'm
That's
sure,
what our client was busy with during the time of running Fishrot.
I'm sure when you look at yourself, you think you'll be in a better position to do a better job than the board. But be that as it may, let's focus on what the board said here. Not your own knowledge that we will test in a short while. This is what the board said.
Yes, that is what they are saying.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And these are people that were properly placed to judge the achievement of my client in terms of running that company. Is that correct?
Some of them, yes.
Well, I'm sure in your own world, you have determined that they are also not suitably qualified to be board members. Isn't that so?
I never such.
Let's move to the next resolution. They took a decision, not some of them, all of them signed up to this resolution. Is that clear?
That's correct.
You see, there is this notion, and maybe I'm not correct, there is this notion that only one or two board members was aware of the appointment, etc., and what was going on. This document shows that all the board members signed.
Is it a notion expressed by this witness?
Yes, I'm telling him about it. He can comment about it.
I'm asking, is it a notion expressed by this witness?
All right. We will interrogate it, my lord, but I want to clarify that insofar as the appointment of my client is concerned, all the board members signed this document. Would that be correct?
Yes, they did sign this.
Yes. And who did they pinpoint there to be appointed for a period of 5 years?
It's Mr. Mike Ngipunya.
Yes. Because of his achievements, is that so?
As per their resolutions, yes.
All right. Lord, I would like this resolution to be admitted as an exhibit. It will be exhibit
BB.
BB.
Yes. Admitted into evidence as exhibit BB.
As a position about it. In addition to that, you would be aware of a statement made under oath by a certain Miss. Is it Miss or Mr.? Or a certain Miss or Mrs. Diadomweyo Shea. If I'm mispronouncing this name, she will have to forgive me. I don't mean any disrespect. Ms.
Yes,
Chair,
I'm aware of the
you are aware of that statement?
Yes.
Who is a Namibian, employed in the ministry as an economist. Is that correct? You do recall that
I
statement?
cannot recall her position.
All right. She wrote in this statement that she was called by one of your investigators, Mr. Verna Ngashikau.
Ngashikau.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, who told her that he was investigating a case of corrupt practices with regard to the misuse of office positioned by the then Minister of Marine Resources and the appointment of Mr. James Hatukwilipi, as well as the appointment of Mr. Ngepunya to the positions that he occupied. Is that correct?
Yes, the statement reads so.
Yes. She provided in that statement that the authorized officer wanted to know, amongst others, whether as a board member they had appointed a board chairperson of Fishco. You do remember the content of that statement to that effect. Insofar as Mr. Ngepunya was concerned, she stated as follows: I would like to state that, we appointed Mr. Ngepunya as a chief executive officer of Fishco in 2016. After we were satisfied that he performed well while he was a caretaker. No interview was held, but he was just appointed on the basis of his performance. Is that correct?
That's correct. That is what the statement is saying.
Why did you not mention this in your testimony in chief? That at least one of the board members has provided a statement explaining why he was appointed as he was.
I did not testify on it. Yes, I was not prepared to testify on every statement collected from during the investigation.
You see, you are, and my learned friend dealt with this previously when he was dealing with your cross-examination, that you occupy a very important position in the Namibian society. You are also, every day that you carry out decisions and you testify, you are also exercising the power of the law. And I'm trying to be simplistic. You also carry the power of the law. I find it very difficult that when there is certain information, no matter how small you may think it is, that favors our client or our clients, you seem not to be willing to just be forthcoming with it.
Really,
And let me finish. It gives the impression that you are so biased against our clients that you are incapable of being trusted. Because there is nothing wrong to say, well, in my view, he was not qualified. But I spoke to board members, they explained why they appointed him. It's such an important thing. Why would you not mention something like that?
as I have said, when I come in to testify, I did not go through all the statements, all the files of which we collected the information. And I was not, I did not figure out whether I will come up with such a question.
But you saw it fit to express a view on the recruitment of my client into a position, but you didn't think you'll be asked on that.
No, I did not think of that.
That is a very strange thing, Mr. Kanyangela. And there are a number of these. We'll go into all these statements, including, amongst others, the one that you are relying upon to say my clients will interfere with witnesses.
Yes, we can go through
yes.
all of them.
Let me ask you one other question. These special investigators, as you said during your testimony when you were being cross-examined by my client, special investigators.
When he was being cross-examined?
Yeah, by my learned friend, my lord. Yes, by Mr. Soni.
When Mr.
Yeah.
was cross-examined?
No, my lord, it was a slip of the tongue. When you were being cross-examined by Mr. Soni, you mentioned that the Deloitte group was appointed as a special investigator, and they had certain powers. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What were some of the problems that they told you they had in conducting their own investigation?
I'm not aware whether there was any problem which they have raised.
Yes. Were there any challenges that they mentioned to you that they found in conducting these investigations?
They did not mention of any challenge. They only used to approach the ECC. If they are in need of some documentations, they will ask us to get such documentations.
Right.
Possible that could be one of their challenges.
All right. I see that one of their mandate was specifically to investigate the appointment of my client under paragraph 1.7 of their report. Paragraph 1.7.6. I don't know if the witness has this file, my lord.
Which file is my colleague referring to?
The state disclosure, the Deloitte report.
I don't believe he is that. Your Lordship, we also noticed that the statement that was being read to the witness, there are some paragraphs which have not been read.
Sorry?
The paragraph does not read in full regarding
No, Mr. Lutubeti, remember you will get an opportunity to re-examine.
Yes, Your Lordship.
You see, just as what you do is, if the statement was disclosed to you, and you feel that Mr. Patela just extracted information that is favorable to his client, but it does not deal with information that is favorable to your client, you have the fullest right in re-examination to extract. You can't ask him to read things. He may not even know what questions to ask about the paragraphs that you want him to read.
Yes, thank you, Your Lordship. But I think just to be fair to all the parties, as he indicated when this trial started, there are over 80,000 documents that he said, they've counted the pages themselves, that he said are in this docket. Obviously, we've not brought all the documents before court. So if there are some particular documents that they're going to utilize before court, which we did not bring before court, they should at least, as the court directed before, inform us so that we can also bring those documents. Or alternatively, just provide everyone with a copy in court. That statement, he's the only one who had that statement before him in court. So really, it should be provided to all parties, or just inform us in advance, so we get the statements, Your Lordship, so that everyone can follow.
Yeah, that's a different question from. Yeah, I've expressed I can't keep on repeating myself. I was born once.
Yes, Your Lordship,
Yeah.
but
So I can't
rules are not
repeat
followed.
myself. Yeah.
As it plays a court.
I've said if there are documents that will be used in court, it's just fair that everybody is alerted that I'm going to use that document and it's made available to everybody. But surely I cannot say, Mr. Patela, that document that you are reading also say this. Why are you not asking those? That I can't do.
As it plays a court, Your Lordship. Thank you.
Yes,
Mr. Patela, the availability of the document, if please you
Yes,
can.
my lord, my instructing counsel is here.
Yeah.
He will make sure that he runs copies. But it's part of the state disclosure. So
No,
but I
you see,
understand the concern.
Yeah, you see,
Yes.
as you have said and as we have indicated, there is more than 80,000 pages. If there is a specific document that you want to use, just alert your colleague. It's just a simple, basic norm. It's not in the rules. It's a norm of fairness and equity. That's all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look, my instructing counsel will run a copy and then
Yeah.
mail it to them.
Okay.
I don't know now, in view of the fact that the witness does not seem to have this report, because I wanted us to go through.
He
I
may
was
not
surprised
have
because-
he may not have it, but he testified on it.
Yes,
Just
but-
do you have the Deloitte file, Mister? If he doesn't have, the state must just make it available to him because he testified to it.
Yes.
So if he doesn't have a copy, and those documents were handed back, so So if he doesn't have it, let's just make it available.
The file seems to have mysteriously found its feet, the file that was being used by witnesses, because the state has an extra copy. They have resources to make copies of all
No,
this.
no, it's not a question of. It's the file here.
Your Lordship, unfortunately, we do not know on what documents I was going to cross-examine. Obviously, we have to come to court with files.
No, if you don't have it here, you can just. I'm very practical about these things. I don't know why we are dilly-dallying and seeking to duck and dive. You see, if a document or if a file is being requested on which testimony has been, and it's not there, you can just ask for an adjournment, we get the file, we proceed.
As it plays a court, Your Lordship, it's in the office. We can make it available. And if there are any other documents, perhaps, that they need to, they can inform us.
Okay, towards the end, yeah. But now, for now, all that do you have a copy of the Deloitte?
Not here in court.
Okay,
it's
not in court.
at the office, yes, Your Lordship.
Mr. Patela, do you have an additional copy?
Look, I do not have an additional copy, but Mr. Vas, Sony being the most experienced amongst us here on this bar, he has been kind enough to avail his copy. But now...
Are there no notes in that copy? Okay. If there are not notes, then he can...
I don't see the notes, but now I'm a bit worried because I don't want them to be left behind.
No, we have our...
You know, do you have the file? Right. We can avail...
Is my court orderly here?
He seems to have abandoned ship, my lord, for the time being. He's making copies, my lord, from what I understand of the statement. So I withdraw that. Okay. He's being of great assistance, my lord. What do you want to see? You have yours.
All right. Now it's there.
Mr. Marondese would like to...
Yes, Mr. Marondese?
In his usual suspicious self, he would like to have a look at the file first.
Oh, you want to have a look at... Yes.
Yeah.
It's a fair request.
Yes, it pleases you, my lord.
Yes, Mr. Patela?
Yes, please. So if you look at paragraph 1.5, Mr. Kanyangela, you see it. The page before.
That's on page?
It will be on page 1 of the report, 1 at the bottom.
Yes.
Right.
Do you have it, Mr. Kanyanga?
Yes, my lord.
All right. I just wanted to make sure you're looking at that page. That deals with the scope and limitation, the scope of the investigation. Are you looking at it?
Yes, I'm looking at it.
On the following page, that's when they state that based on their discussions with the ACC, they agreed the scope to focus on the following. So I was referring you to paragraph 1.7.6 of that scope.
Yes.
To investigate the appointment of Mr. Mike Ngepunya initially as the acting CEO and later as the CEO of Fishco. Is that correct? This was part of their mandate.
That's correct.
That's why I was saying, when you look at how important it was, the investigation of the appointment of my client, I find it surprising that, because the ACC gave this Deloitte group the mandate to do the investigations. But I'm saying when you presented your doubts about the suitability of my client for the position, you ignored some of the statements that were explaining circumstances surrounding his appointment from the board members, who are the people that did the appointment.
Yes?
Yes, so I was saying, when I look at your attitude, not only today, but your attitude in not coming forth with information that is favorable to the applicants, but only information that is negative.
That is what we can conclude, but that was not done purposefully.
I am being fearful that you are so biased that you want our clients to be denied bail at all costs.
I'm not biased.
And that's why I was asking you, why didn't you tell the court that the very same report, because this report we got from the state, this report was prepared for you as the investigating officer for the ACC.
What was prepared, it was not the whole report, it's part of the report. This one is the whole of report of the latent task.
So you have never taken time to look through the whole of this report?
Not currently.
No, I don't want to know whether currently or I want to know whether you have studied this report because it was made to the ACC.
I just studied which was provided for me to come in
and testify.
Yes.
You have never looked at this report?
This one I looked to it before. But
that is very worrisome, because a whole group of, as you said, the special investigating company was appointed by the ACC to conduct this report, and you did not take time to study this report.
I said, I read through the report.
Yes.
You can see itself that it's a thick report.
Yes, it is.
And what I came to testify on, it was what was prepared in the statements, in the state's document, state's file. So my concentration was on what was provided to me to come and testify.
All right. I don't know how much you have studied of this report. Can I take you to paragraph 1.11, the following page? It's on page 3. Do you see that?
Yes, I'm seeing it.
Page 3, you were referred to this earlier as well by my learned friend, Mr. Sodi. The auditors, am I correct to understanding this, not these auditors, but the Deloitte people that did this investigation, to say that the work they performed as per their brief did not constitute a statutory audit in the first line of that paragraph?
Yes, that is what they indicated.
And they say it was not a statutory audit under the International Financial Reporting Standards or the International Standards on Auditing. And therefore, they do not express any audit opinion in accordance with the International Standards of Auditing. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
They also mentioned something in paragraph 1.12. Is that correct? Of that report.
That's correct.
Can you read to the court what they stated therein?
They stated, in the circumstances where we could not find the relevant corroboration for evidence, you should not rely on our work and our report as being comprehensive, as we might not have become aware of all facts or information that we may regard as relevant. Any assumptions made during our investigation have been set out under the appropriate points of this document and are designed to be prudent and objective.
What did you understand? Maybe first, to be fair to you, did you read this paragraph during your study of this report or your consideration of this report?
I read the paragraph.
What did you understand of it?
My understanding for this paragraph is that they could not find they say why they could not find the corroboratory evidence. Their report should not be seen as comprehensive. Yes, they will only become aware of all the facts and information that was provided to them. That is how I understand it.
All right. So is it fair to also understand that in some instances, the very people that came out of this report, they accept that it will be short as they could not have all the collaborative information?
They were working on the information that we provided to them, and that was all the information that was gathered during this information, and is where they have been basing their report.
Yes, that I understand, but I'm saying, looking at what they say, not what you gave them, what they say that in some instances this report itself is inadequate as they did not have sufficient information. Would that be a fair understanding of this?
I really don't understand what they mean by that unless they can come and explain it themselves.
Yes, but you understand that's what they say, that in some respects.
Yes, that is what they say.
Yes. You testified that.
My evidence in chief.
Right. You also testified that for this conclusion you were relying on.
It was given to you also by Mr. Soni as a loose document.
Yes, I have the statement.
Is this Mr. Jose Ramon Canosa Camano?
That's correct.
Yes. Can you tell the court when that statement was deposed to? That's on page 14, my lord, of Exhibit Z23.
It was on the 9th of December 2020.
All right. Did you also read the statement of Mr. Camano?
Yes, I read the statement.
You were satisfied with it?
Yes, I was satisfied with it.
What were the areas that satisfied you the most about the statement? Was it all of it or certain areas of the statement?
These areas related to what to the investigation that we are conducting. In the area we should just refer to where he was asked to sign, or the management of Namadan to sign the statement.
All right. I put it to you that this statement should not have satisfied a person of your position, because it makes a mockery of your office.
I don't know what you mean by that.
All right. My Lord, I want to go into this statement.
You don't need my permission.
Yes, let me finish, my Lord, what I wanted to say. I want to go into this statement and quite deep. But
Sorry?
if I go into this statement, I don't want to break off after maybe asking 5 or 10 questions on this statement. I'm afraid that if I give the witness the insight of my thinking into this statement and then I continue tomorrow, it may not be fair to
Do you have anything else that you want to ask? Then you can put it on ice.
Yes, my Lord.
Until tomorrow morning.
Yes.
And if you have any other questions,
All right. Before this statement was deposed to Mr. Olivier contacted this witness, is that correct? Or you would not know?
That's correct.
How many witness statements did this gentleman give the ACC?
I'm only aware of this one.
You're not aware that he made a previous statement?
I'm not aware of the previous statement.
All right. Mr. Olivier, when he was working for the ACC, what position in regard to you, yourself? Was he your subordinate? Was he your equal? Was he your supervisor?
He was my subordinate.
He was your subordinate.
That's
So
correct.
we can accept that he was working under your supervision and directions.
That's correct.
Are you aware that you were copied on the email of 14 November 2020, which was sent by Mr. Fernandez to Mr. Willem of the ACC? Mr. Fernandez is Mr. Luis Fernandez. He has also deposed to a statement here that the state sought to rely on, although we objected, but we just want to raise certain questions pertaining to that statement.
Yes, I'm aware of the email.
And how many statements did Mr. Luis Fernandez provide to you? Or
I'm
to the
only
ACC?
aware of one.
You're only aware of one.
That's correct.
Are you aware of an email that was written by Mr. Willem Oliver, where he expressed complete dissatisfaction with the information or requested documentation that had been provided by Mr. Luis Fernandez at that point?
If it was copied to me, I might be aware of it.
And this email is the one of 14 November 2020. Would you be aware of that email as well?
I'm aware of the emails.
Would you be aware also of the email that was written by Mr. Olivier on 19 January 2021, sent to a Mr. Luis Fernandez, Andreas Kanyangela, and Carl Klute?
Yes, I'm aware of the emails.
Yes. Where he basically dismissed the earlier statement that had been provided to him by Mr. Fernandez.
I'm not aware of whether there was any early statement made.
Yes.
provided. That one I'm not aware of it.
But are you aware of a report that was provided by Mr. Fernandez regarding the investigations that were ongoing by the ACC at that time?
I'm aware of the report.
Okay. Why was this report not provided to us in the disclosure of the state?
It should be part of Olifil's statement, and it might have been disclosed.
I want you to be sure whether it was disclosed or not, because this helps my further line of questioning.
I know Mr. Olifil gave a statement
Yes, I'm talking about the
where
report.
he attached those reports,
Yes.
and it was provided to the prosecution, which I believe it was also disclosed.
Is it in the practice of the ACC that if you get a report from a potential witness or a witness, and it doesn't satisfy you by giving you the information that you want, you write back to them and tell them that this information does not state what I want you to give me another report that reaches a certain conclusion? Is that the method of investigation?
That was not my discussion with him,
Yes.
so I cannot answer such a question.
Yes, but you saw this email because it was copied to you. That was sent to Luis
Yes,
Fernandez.
but it was not my discussion with him.
Yes. Why didn't you ask him whether this was appropriate or not for him to say, I don't like your report, I want you to provide me with another report?
I don't know what have transpired between them two. So, for him to say that he was not satisfied with the report.
Because this was your subordinate, Mr. Kanyangela.
Yes,
He seems to be putting a potential witness under duress to reach a certain version that is only satisfactory to him. Would that be correct?
to be a subordinate doesn't mean that a person is not an experienced investigator.
Yes, but would this worry you? Is it something that worries you when you see that one of your subordinates actually put a witness, a potential witness, under pressure to provide a statement that reaches a certain conclusion, which I don't want
I
to
don't know
communicate
whether
at
he
this
was
stage?
put under pressure.
Yes. You are aware that the investigating officers of the ACC carries with them, or they carry with them, the power of the law.
That's correct.
And you are aware that when the witnesses get a request from the ACC, they are supposed to take that request seriously.
That's correct.
They are supposed to worry about the consequences to themselves and their jobs or their companies that they work for if the ACC officials take a dim view of their conduct.
Thus I say, I don't know how this person was requested to provide the information or to provide the statement. Their discussion was between him and Olifir.
You see, the problem is that Mr. Olifir in that email specifically mentions that he cannot accept certain information.
He did not say it on my instruction.
But you were aware of this email
That email was sent.
because it was copied to you. So
Yes,
it was
it was
under your
copied.
instructions because you did nothing. You did
No,
not
it was
seek any
not under my
clarity from
instruction.
him.
Sorry, I keep on saying you may whisper, you may talk to each other, but I mustn't hear. When I hear you transgressing the boundaries of whispering.
Yes, Your Lordship. We are just requesting for the email. I just want to verify what he's saying is
Okay,
what
then
is
you
written.
stand up. If you stand up, then I make it. You see, because when
Yeah.
it's this undertone talking, they distract everybody.
Yes, Your Lordship. We're trying not to disrupt his cross-examination through his instructing counsel to provide us those emails.
All right. Yes, please. If you talk, just make sure I don't hear.
As if there's a court, Your Lordship.
All right. Sorry, Mr. Patela.
Yes, my lord, it's the document, although our letter friends seem to be a bit uneasy, it's already exhibit Q2.
Q.
Q2.
Yes.
May I also just request, instead of paraphrasing, can the email be read the way it is, if it's referring to the email before court, Your Lordship?
Okay. Again, as I'm saying, it's difficult for me to tell a person how to cross-examine. I find it almost near to impossible. How must tell a person how to cross-examine? As I said, you have the good thing about, the law is such a beauty. It has instances of dealing every situation. You have a remedy. Once Mr. Patela is finished, you can re-examine and then you can ask the whole email to be read.
As it is a court, Your Lordship, we're just
But
trying to
you see,
prevent
I
interest being
can't
misled.
really honestly adhere to the request that you are making. I must make that. I won't be able to do.
As it is a court, Your Lordship.
Yes.
But it seems like the strategy is to be as obstructive as
I
possible.
don't want to read into issues, letters I can't see.
Yes, my lord,
Yeah.
but we can read from this side.
Yeah, unless I see the letters, I'll read them.
Yes,
but
my
if I can't see them, I can't read into
Yes.
them.
Look,
All right, can you proceed?
yes, my lord.
All right.
Mr. Kanyangela, you also mentioned that during your investigations whether the dried fish was supplied, there
That's correct.
was an affidavit that was taken from an official of Fishco. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Would this official be Miss Carolina Brendel?
That's correct.
All right. Who is an employee of Fishco?
That's correct.
Do you recall the exact position that this lady stated in that statement that she holds at Fishco?
I cannot recall now.
All right. She said her occupation is sales and cold store manager.
That's correct.
What did you understand by that position?
I understand that she's a manager at the cold storage.
What type of items in your investigations would ordinarily be stored at a cold storage? Because I believe the cold storage is not all storage, it's just for certain items.
It can be fish.
What type of fish mostly that will be stored there in your investigations? If you did not, please let us
No,
know.
I
that
did not
you
investigate as what type of fish was being stored.
Yes. Would it be correct to conclude that cold storage would store items like frozen fish?
Yeah, it can.
Yes. Not dried fish?
Yes.
Right. Did you go to the logistics department of Fishco during your investigations?
The investigation at Fishco was not conducted by myself.
It seems like there is a lot that you didn't do. So, unfortunately, you are the only person standing here. I have to
That's
ask
why I
you
was
these
saying-
questions. Yes.
I was saying people are going to conduct investigation, they are going to obtain statement, they bring the things to me, I put them on the case file.
Right. You just put them in, you don't evaluate them. You just put them in the case file.
No, I read them.
Yes. But I'm asking a simple question. Did you visit the logistics department of Fishco?
I did not visit.
Or did any of your investigators
I'm not
do
aware
so?
whether they did visit it.
All right. But you, at least before this court, there is no information that they did.
The
Is it
reason why we obtained a statement from that woman or from that witness is because she was the one who signed on the delivery.
Yes. So that
Yes,
was the only
we
reason.
wanted her to confirm
All right.
whether such delivery was done.
All right. So that was the only purpose of going to her as a witness.
Yes.
All right. That is helpful. Yes. In her statement, she told you exactly what are her tasks. Is that correct?
could be correct.
She said her tasks.
What exhibit is that?
It's not before court yet, my lord.
Then it's just fair that
Maybe we should.
you favor the witness
Yes.
with it. Yeah.
He has it, I'm sure, in his copy. But what we'll do, my lord, is to run clean copies because mine is heavily marked.
I'm not having it.
So my learned friend will run a copy, and then tomorrow, perhaps when we proceed, we'll avail him a copy. Okay. But it's part of the bundles that we have here, my lord. I think that is all that we need. My lord, on that basis, then I move that perhaps we...
We also put that one on ice.
Yes, my lord, let's put them on a cold storage up until tomorrow morning.
Do we
my
have
lord.
one in court?
Yes. Yes, my lord, that is proverbial, my lord. Shall we proceed then tomorrow when we have run these copies? Because there are a number of these statements now that I want to...
it start making cross-examining a little bit disjointed if you keep on.
Exactly, my lord.
Yeah.
Yes. Tomorrow we'll prepare a bundle for him so that we can then refer him to
Yes,
these
and
documents.
just alert your colleagues also what documents you intend to cross-examine on. You don't need to tell them what you are going to ask. Just at least that you are going to use it. Yeah.
You have just disappointed Mr. Marondeze there. But yes, my lord, we will give them a list of all these documents.
Yeah.
And then we will even engage with them after hours, my lord, today, just to give them an indication. That is only fair, and for the witnesses, all tomorrow you will get the documents.
Okay.
So, my lord, that is for today, unless if the court wants me to move to another area, but I'm getting a bit disjointed now.
Yeah, no, as I
Yes,
said, I don't want to push a practitioner into a corner I would never want to be in.
As it pleases you, my lord.
Yeah, right. Oh, okay. No, I can't because it's just this morning. I wanted to start at 9, but I just this morning told the officer in charge that he must have the applicants ready at 9:30. So.
Yes, my lord.
Okay, let's start at 10 o'clock.
That is it.
As it
As it pleases the court, my lord.
We'll then start at 10 o'clock tomorrow. What do you rise?